Am I recording? So some of you might be saying, I don't see this document in my thing yet, and Derek, why didn't I get my grade yet for the first thing? You'll get it. Everybody gets what's coming to them. Don't you worry. I'm gonna do it like today was everybody turned it in, and like this been a hectic week with the whole the GIS thing we're launching. I get to it tomorrow is a free day for me, and that's not a great thing. Everything I gotta do on that day, as well as load this on there. So I will be, when I leave here today, putting this up on our Canvas site. This is not on there yet, but it will be today, as well as all the data. In fact, I think I'm just gonna do the data while we sit right here, so that you can see the process of what we're doing. All right, so hopefully everybody's gotten through the first census assignment, and now you're more comfortable with data and putting these two sections of paper together. That is the methods and data section. And I think everybody basically did a pretty good job when I just looked at it, because I was surprised again that 12 of 13 people did their homework on time. Is that one person not here? Correct, right? I've heard that one person is not here, probably. So this assignment is more in the fashion of an executive summary. If you get a job in social sciences, chances are great that you'll have to do this exact thing, but much more complicated. That is, gather data, make visualizations of the data, write what the methods are, and write bullet points for what is significant in the data. This is what a social scientist does. There's complicated data, and you have to explain it to people who don't know what it is. Otherwise, you get a situation like with physical science data where people don't think that climate change is real and blame the polar vortex, and I think it's -30 in Chicago right now, and say there's no such thing as climate change. Because the physical scientists did not do the best job of it. They just were arrogant and thought, well, they'll just believe us. And then we got like half of the country now that doesn't believe what every scientist says, which is just crazy. People, Americans think they're experts on things that they have because they watch it on TV. Anyway, so in explaining things, this is where the big thing that we need to know how to do is, we have a table we're gonna have. We're gonna have writing, but tables with data are hard for most people to understand, and writing is also hard for most people to understand. People avoid reading at any cost, and even when they do read, 99% of America is literate, but I think that just means they can read like at an 8th grade level or something like that. I'm serious. Like when we come up with these statistics to say we're literate, it just means like some grade level that everybody can do. That's not saying much, and that means nothing for comprehension. So we as scientists, and we are scientists, even though this is called these soft sciences, it's not. It's much more complicated and much harder and much more valuable. Valuable like a monetary value, because the things we do got costs to it and can make you money. Or they're deciding budgets of money. So we need to be able to explain with visuals. So this is the first we're getting into the visuals. So we're gonna have a table, we're gonna have writing in the form of bullet points, because that's all. Like imagine we worked for the Department of Health for Florida, and we're the actual social scientists doing the work, but you have a boss who's an elected person who's not a social scientist. That person needs to be able to explain, and so you need to be able to explain to that person so they understand it with visuals and bullet points. No long paragraphs, no getting deep in explanations, just bullet points of what is significant and visuals so that they can see it immediately and say, I'm looking at this and I see where the problem lies immediately. So I've attached data for AIDS cases in Florida. I have downloaded the data at the Florida Health Department website, which all of you have access to as well. Google it, and there's all kinds of data available, and it comes in Excel as well. let's just hold on real quick and look at that because it's so much fun. Florida health data. Health statistics, health indicators. So I think we're looking at AIDS. What did I do? AIDS cases or AIDS? AIDS cases. Reportable and infectious diseases. Yes. HIV, AIDS cases. And we now have a map, and we can just download the actual Excel data somewhere in here. This one. Yeah. When you look at health data, a lot of times it'll not be out of 100. It's not a percent. It's at a rate of out of 100,000. So like the rate of HIV, say in the whole state of Florida, is 9.9. That is not a percent. What would that percent be? Yeah, so, but a percent means out of 100.
Right.
So you move that thing over like 3 spaces. So like 0.0.
0.000099.
Is that what it would be?
9.9.
Yeah, 9.9, when you move that over 3, sometimes math eludes me as well. So if you move that over 1, 2, 3, that one, right? 0.0099?
0000.
One more zero?
4 zeros and then 9.
Yeah, you're right. 00099. That is not a lot of A's. That's just the cases though. That's not the HIV. No, but you see these these like poster billboards of like Florida has a lot of AIDS. Miami is.
Probably with syphilis.
No, syphilis is coming back or something like that. That's what it says at bus stops. At bus stops, it says syphilis was like sleeping and now it's awoken or something like that. Or like it's exploding. Syphilis is exploding maybe. I'm not making a joke out of diseases. And Florida, for a lot of reasons, has some sexual disease problems. Well, at a greater rate than other places in the country. Why would that be? What? Freaky people, is that what you said?
A lot of people come from like other places.
People come from other places?
Like other countries, like when it's warm.
So you're saying...
You know what I'm saying? Like when it's warm, like they love coming to Florida because it's cold everywhere else, so they
Yeah.
gotta be down here and just have a good time. And
part of that good time.
and that's how I guess it spreads.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with it. The tourism, there's a sexual part of tourism. There is.
What about education? To like teens.
Education to teens. I have heard that Florida doesn't have sex ed.
I had 2 classes of sex ed.
Did you go to public school?
Yeah. Walter C. Young and Broward.
Broward's different than Dade.
It is.
In Dade, no, they would have somebody come if your school was lucky, I guess. During PE.
During PE.
During PE, and it would be like just a little short thing. At least that's how it was for me. And I was like in BFE high.
That is crazy. Because then with the like, and not just, I was shocked. I know this because I've been doing the same kind of stuff in Dade County in FIU for a minute, and I'm like shocked of like, people get queasy. We're not talking about, this ain't even sexual education. We're just talking about sex as a social science thing. And I'm like, wow. And then like, people can't answer simple questions about sex. We're social scientists. Man is a sexual being. and we're not going to be good social scientists or doing anything about the sex part of it. This isn't going to be sex ed class, but like there's certain we have to look at the AIDS cases in Florida and figure out, like, if we were social scientists, what could we do? Because there's social factors of why there are these things.
Lower rate of condom use.
Lower rate of condom use. And that is a lot of tourism. Is that people go on tourism, they leave their things they wouldn't do in their regular lives, they would do when they're on vacation.
Do tourists count in this data if they don't live here?
They count because they come with whatever they bring. Sometimes they leave with more than they came with, but sometimes, but they're also bringing in things and leaving it here. And they're also big like vectors, because tourists might have more partners than your average person. If they're here for a week, they might try to have the most fun they can have in a week.
Like a percentage of those people might be locals, like they live.
Yeah, they're gonna. That's the whole thing too. Yeah.
And then from there it spreads. So.
There's something that, like, I'm not a epidemiologist by any measure, but I can't help but notice that, what do you think in the Western Hemisphere the largest HIV population comes from? Where do they come from? How about if you had to guess, without being an epidemiologist? No idea? For both. There's a country that is completely off the charts compared to the rest of the countries in the Western Hemisphere. In the Western Hemisphere, Haiti, like off the charts. So if you just Google HIV rates by country, a list, there's gonna be like the southern part of Africa, and Haiti is the first country in the Western Hemisphere. It's still pretty low, 2.1%. But after Haiti, I can't even believe Belize makes it. But, because at first Belize is tiny, but as a population. But Haiti is the first Western Hemisphere, and then Jamaica, and then we don't see the West, like Haiti, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad. And we don't really see the Western Hemisphere in there for like down the list. Dominican Republic is pretty, it's like, we're already like halfway, I think, by the time we get to there. And I'm Jamaican. I'm not trying to blame Haiti and Jamaica, but they're by far the largest populations. Like, you think of Miami being like, Cuba is not, doesn't have an HIV. I bet Cuba's like way down on the list, like above where the US is even. Cuba. Yeah, it's something with like, you know, Canada, Costa Rica. Where is the US?
Oh, a little lower.
Where is it? Up? Okay, yeah. The really low countries are like all going to be in Europe, and that's for other public health reasons, actually. So, well, how about this? Do you think Europe, all of like the probably the 20 countries at the bottom of the list are probably going to be in Europe, or yeah, the Middle East as well. Europe and the Middle East. So, education, you think they use condoms in Europe, but they don't in Miami?
I just think that people in Europe, like, are brought up, like, accepting sexes and stuff. They're not very, it's not a taboo subject.
Yeah.
Over there. People
Not as
have
hidden.
locker rooms and they don't have walls in between people. They
Yeah.
don't have walls in between urinals or anything like that. They just...
I always find it kind of odd that like when you go to Europe, you can like on regular TV, you might see a naked person and they might like say a curse word. But some of you might try to get me in trouble if I say a naughty word. Well, I think that this thing of education is kind of crazy, and it's very simple to say, like, okay, so people in the southern portion of Africa don't have education. That's why they have such high rates of HIV. And people in the West, you know, we're smart, we have education, and we don't have that. Like, look around, people. People don't use condoms here. Really, people do not use condoms. And all of these countries are in the southern half of the continent of Africa at much higher rates. And that education thing is not explaining education about condoms.
Like safe sex at all.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing it.
Diseases like exposure to like, hey, this is what could happen. You show that to like a kid who's 10 years old and it seems like
Yeah.
think the other way around.
I mean, I think if anything, like people have much more partners in the West and don't use condoms as compared to if you travel across the continent of Africa. The amount I'm shocked all the time of like, this is the only, like Europe and the US, like people just like Friday and Saturday night, like having random sex is a thing to do. Like that's not exactly like a thing that happens on the continent of Africa. On as regularly, I would say, as regularly. So, if we wanted to do something as social scientists in Florida, what groups would we go and try to figure to give some education to? Well, the CDC has said, and I might have to update this because things are always changing. Most at risk for HIV. What is this? All right, see this? So all of that writing can say blah, 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 blah. You see the visual, it's much better to read, right? Male to male sexual contact. Next is women. It didn't have women in there? Oh, wait, who is at risk? And then we gotta get, actually this is not gonna work, because all of these things are not things that we could find at census anyway. We're gonna use data we can to find out about who's using, needles when they get high is, and that's actually really down compared to what it used to be. We're only interested in it's not even heterosexual contact. What is just the find of data we can actually find. So like things like women, ethnic minorities, and poor people. Why would the male-to-male contact be the most at risk? Unbelievable. Who is at more risk, tops or bottoms? I don't even click on that, do I?
Definitely bottom.
Definitely the bottom?
Definitely bottom.
Anybody disagree?
Let's see what it says.
It's definitely the bottom.
Definitely bottom.
Definitely the bottom. It has to do with why women are much more at risk than why men are much more at risk. This is where I run into like, holy cow, you guys didn't have sex ed. Why would women be much more at risk than
It's the
men?
tissue in the cavities, so in the anal cavity and the vaginal cavity, the tissue just makes it more susceptible to contraction.
It can absorb it. This is an external thing for men. It would need, the virus would need to enter through the very tiny entrance.
Isn't men more carriers though? Like men are like more susceptible to be carriers?
Possibly, but they're not going to pass it on. But it's much easier for a woman to get it from a man than it is for a man to get it from a woman. And it just has to do with the anatomy of a man versus a woman, and how vaginal sex is occurring. So, what women would be most at risk then, because y'all trust too much. You're believing your husband. And men are doing, it's crazy, because soon we're gonna see women, you're better off in life not messing with us. Overwhelmingly, homicide is not like mad, crazy people, it's men killing their wife. Or women killing their husband. But men killing your wife. If you were to get HIV, it's probably from your husband too. You're better off without us. But somehow you're still out there looking for a prince. He's probably gonna kill you. I'm kidding, he's not. Probably he's not, but if you were to die. So, women are most at risk, the black population is most at risk, and poor people are most at risk. Dare I say, I don't think black population and female population and black population and the white population are having these stark contrasts of who is using, first of all, who is using needles or who is having unprotected sex. I don't think that's the case. I think there is a class thing at stake and who's having sex with who. Because I got my ear to the street. People are not using condoms. When I was young, there was this scare. Like people, you just wouldn't even have any idea of it. We're catching HIV and nobody knew anything about it. It was scary. But I think the fear is over and none of y'all, this generation, uses condoms. Shockingly. Just not happening. And now I'm even in research, doing GIS research about lifestyles here in Miami, and I'm disgusted. Not by people in this room, but like, holy cow, what is going on in 2019? And I'm like, yo, nobody should have sex ever again if you've seen this stuff. Because these people are doing this quietly, and then like, just going about their regular day, come like after like Friday or Saturday night, like that didn't just happen. And yeah. And all kinds of crazy activities are happening. Crazy. And not just on like certain weekends in South Beach. I mean, there's a whole other kind of world going on, and then they're interacting with the rest of the population. So, anyway, females are gonna be at-risk group, the black population is an at-risk group, and low-income people are at-risk group. So what we're going to do is, now you heard these terms, constants and variables in data, kind of. So the variable is what you're gonna test it against. So we have our HIV thing, I just showed you where we're gonna download it from. Maybe I should just download it now, I did, yes. And then we're gonna test it against, I want this one, the black population, the low income population, and the married women over 15 population, and test to see is there a correlation between these groups, and then make bullet points of what was significant so that we can make, if this was an executive summary and we work for the Florida Health, and who's our new guy? DeSantis, what's his name? Ron DeSantis. So that maybe that we can explain things to our boss in nice visuals so they can give a presentation to the Board of Governors or the Florida State Legislature and Ron DeSantis, or even here in Miami-Dade of like, we need to clean up, these tourists are coming and either they bringing stuff or we're giving it to them. So, we need to combine these data into one table, like the examples. Some of you with off experience or life experience might be better and more efficient with Excel than I am. By all means, if there's a better way to get the results, then go ahead and do it. When we get to black population, it is not as a percent, so copy the total population as well and make it a percent out of it. Do you know how to do that? You know what people, I didn't grade it yet, but when I looked at the first homework, some people didn't add the two columns together of 9th grade and 12th grade in terms of the dropouts. The people with no diploma. You're supposed to add those two things together. Was there anybody in here did not add them together? No, nobody in here, of course. That is to be expected. Where were we? Oh my God, I'm so hungry. The health data cases is also not as a percent. It is the age rate of 100,000. What I did is to add a column, write the formula for the first to be corresponding letter and number for the cell of the black population, and then divide it. First cell is supposed to be. First cell. I'm gonna do it right now. And this is also gonna be on this. This is gonna be up on our canvas, so you don't need to write this down. Then multiply it by 100 to get it as percent. Okay, so this is the data we came with. We don't want to change this. We just need to be aware that it is out of 100,000. The reason we don't want to change this is if it was 0.00, however many zeros to 9, we would not be able to make a comparison with things that are going to be like 25% poverty or whatever the number might be. We wouldn't be able to compare anything. So it's fine that we keep this as a case, as a rate. Finder. Okay. It no longer says that thing that it's about to shut down. County. As well as the state. What did I say? I want poverty. Did I say for a year? I think we're going still with 2014. 16%. Okay. I know I'm doing this quickly and nobody's really looking, and especially because I said I'm just going to give it to you. But some of you may be wondering, why did I get the black population? Why did I click on Hispanic when I was looking for the black population? Nobody's wondering. Something to talk about while I clean this up real quick. No? I guess open that. Because what does black even mean? There's a definition for black means non-Hispanic black for the most of the U.S. when we're just saying these terms, just like white, the amount of students, and I'm like, please relax, of FIU students who are Latin and want so badly for me to make sure that they know that I know that they're white. And I'm like, yo, you're not, okay, fine, you got ancestors, sure, but America does not see you that way. I'm sorry, it's not me. I'll accept that you're white, no problem. But there are definitions, and I didn't make up these rules. And I want to change it too, and I want the world to see that you're white too, but white in America does not mean, and I've had actually students, and there's a student in particular that I kind of giggle at every time he explains to me how he's related to some queen in Spain from like 500 years ago. And I'm like, why the hell are you living in Hialeah then? Why don't you go claim your royalty? That white in America means Anglo-white. It means, only counts for Canadians and USA people, nobody below that. And you gotta be from like a Northern European place. I suppose they might make an exception if somebody immigrated direct from Spain. Did I do the wrong one? I sure did. Didn't I just get... Oh, damn it, I clicked on the wrong one. And the black population. Two, 9. Okay, so this part you're actually gonna have to do, it's in the directions and you need to do it because I'm gonna hand you just this table. In fact, let me save this table just now. Census to data. But you're gonna have to do this, it's in the directions. Turn this into %. How do we do that? The black population, like the directions said, are not as a %, they are as whole numbers. We need to turn it into %. We need to take that column, divide it by the other column. Which one by which one? Oops. We need to take the black population and divide it by the total population and then multiply it by 100. That's what a percent is. What is, how do you say 100 in Spanish? Right, there's no T in there? No.
Well, if you're ciento.
Ciento, see.
Cien is 100.
Okay. But ciento would be 100 moving forward, right? Like 101. 100 years is a century. Right. So it's out of 100 is the point. That per cent is out of 100. So we need to take this. I think so we just say that this column is going to be equal to this one divided by this one. And when we hit equals, we come up right there. State of Florida is about 20% black. But right now, that is written as a point something. We need to multiply that by 100. So we could say this column is equal to this column asterisk 100. And now we get it as a number we can work with. The other thing is this column that we've now made, that's a percent, is we want to get rid of these other ones. But look what happens when we get rid of these other ones. I think we did this in the first one. It's a reference. It can only be used if it's in, because we got rid of its reference. So now we don't know what this is. So we need to take this one, copy it, and where we're going to copy it, we can copy it right where it is. Make sure you copy it in this way. You see that option to copy it as values, the second one. For those with a Mac, it's probably somewhere in there. But for those with, it does exist, it's just not as simple as when you use a PC. But copy it as values and it will have no problem. Now it stays there, no problem, just how we want it. Now the other thing we do is we want this to be one decimal place. Are you videotaping me?
No.
Are you texting?
No, I took a picture.
But I got the camera on. Watch my movies. I'm trying to get, if I get, 1,000 likes on YouTube, I'd like get something, I think. Go to format cells. And in format cells, we want to make this thing be like one decimal place. And now it looks like the others. Beautiful. I used to have a really big beard. I don't know how I used to do it. This is the last day of this little beard. I can't do this anymore. It's too itchy. We need to get this thing good headings, like state, poverty. This is married female, and this one is black. Now, two little things. This is not formatted the same way as the other one. There are two issues. This one has two headings, and also this heading is not the same. We want to take just the data we want, like just this column, and copy paste it into the other one. But the order is just ever so slightly different. For some reason, well, I know the reason, but I don't know why. Well, that is the reason. Miami-Dade, alphabetically, is in there with Dade instead of Miami in alphabetical order. You see that, right? Versus here, and everything else you'd ever download, Miami-Dade alphabetically is in the ends. See, that's national. They have standards. Here in the state of Florida, the alphabetical order puts Miami-Dade with these. So let's copy this row, delete it, then just go down here, Miami probably right about there. Let's insert a new row and put that one, gosh darn it, we got rid of it. How about this? Miami, insert row. Copy. Okay. Let me get rid of this one. Now we can just copy from there, there, And it's beautiful. Which ones have the highest HIV, or these are AIDS cases, not HIV, AIDS cases in the whole state, you think? And some of those are at 0. Those are counties you never heard of. Maybe you heard of them. Jeez. It didn't sort. I hate when it does this. Go. How did I do it? I know what the problem is. Let's hit this little thing. This little, you see this little triangle at the top of there? Like at the corner of this new copied cell? We need to get rid of that. I think we need to convert it to a number. I'm trying to remember. There's a way to do it without individually going down each one. But we need to get rid of that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make the visuals. No, I think there is something. It'd be wonderful if you guys could figure out, come up with something and tell each other how to not do it individually.
Is it like right and left?
Yeah.
Like in Word? Couldn't you copy it all and then press the line right?
Okay, so let's say I did that. I copy it all, and then somewhere in here,
Yeah, on
where is
the
it?
little left. Yeah, one of those.
One of these?
The buttons on the, go down
Uh-huh.
to the right,
This
one
one?
to the right, the next one over. Those.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
No, it's still got the thing though. This little convert.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're gone. Wonderful. Thank you, Adrian. I feel like Adrian's always gonna do his homework with me. Always. And he's gonna try to answer any questions I got. So it's not Miami-Dade that has the highest HIV rate. Go figure. Look at that. Duval County, Jacksonville. A lot of tourists going to Jacksonville nowadays. I don't even know Union County. Anybody heard of that one?
Isn't Duval like the Keys?
No, Duval is a street in the Keys, but every county in Florida has a street in the Keys. Duval is Jacksonville. Jacksonville takes up the whole of Duval County.
And what does the Keys call you?
Monroe?
And that's not there?
Well, you know, because it's easier to spread bacteria than it is a virus. Did you know that? Like bacteria you can pick up just by touching a desk. Viruses, you gotta it's a host, you really gotta be in contact. Not just HIV virus, but even the flu virus or what else is a virus? I don't know. I'm so not a biologist.
Herpes.
Is that a bacteria or a virus? That's a virus, I think.
It is.
That is. Right. You gotta really be in contact. That doesn't float in the air. Even if there was spit in the air, I think it would need to really get a little closer. Anyway, if we were talking about those bacterial STDs, don't you worry. Oh, it's you. Monroe is up there. I think that's the number one. The bacterial ones, like the one at the bus stop, syphilis is making a comeback, an explosion. And so is gonorrhea. Yo, there's a gonorrhea that doesn't have a shot any longer. I saw that on the bus stop too.
It's like mutated.
Yeah, the shot that you used to get for gonorrhea doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Bacterial diseases are killed Al Capone or something, but we got them in check with the shots, like penicillin, but now they're making a comeback. People got a little too comfortable, said, oh, I'll just get a shot. Now, they mutated. But the point being, bacteria are easier to get rid of and also easier to exchange, pass on. So, we got Palm Beach, of course, that's to be expected. Alachua, where Gainesville, Florida is, of course. Hillsborough, Tampa. Broward, Orlando. I don't know what Union County might be what Panama City is. What is your question?
Can you remind me again how to get rid of the triangle on the whole row?
We just selected it, and then like Adrian showed us, we just aligned right.
It's kind of like Word doc,
Yeah.
so you just use all lines really.
Yeah. I thought it was, I didn't even realize it was as simple as it was aligning on the left, and that's why there was a triangle. I read it, and I thought it said right now it's a text, and we needed to be a number, and I was like, I saved it as a number already, but I was just clicking, hoping that somebody would come through with an answer for me, Adrian, and you know who did? You. So, what we want to do now, when is this going to be due? You don't know, because I didn't put up a schedule for this semester yet. Because I was waiting until we got through the first assignment before I put up a schedule, because sometimes there will be a list of complaints, and I can't do this, and whatever, my computer broke. So we got through the first assignment, so now we're going to put up a schedule. We're going to have 2 weeks for this one, 2 weeks for the next one. But in the meantime, I want you to play around with making visuals. How might we make a visual? Let's say, okay, this one is called AIDS cases. This is not the AIDS rate, it's AIDS cases. This is not people with HIV, this is not people who have died. This is just the ongoing people we know of with a case. So if we just select all of this one, and then control and say like the poverty, select that one, and then say like control, and then all of the states. Now we can go to insert, and did I have the AIDS in order? I meant not to do that. That is not correct, is it? Where the hell? What is happening to my poverty? Why is it disappearing on me? Oh, damn it. I did this wrong. I went back too far. This button. Go ahead. But I thought this was as simple as doing this. That's there. Why did it revert back when I tried to make up? Great. Adrian,
So sorry. I have no answer for you, man.
increase in the, no, go there. Oh, you know what? They're all selected. Ooh, convert to number. Now they're all done. Okay. While they're selected, just do hit on the little box that it had open. I don't know why. That was a simple solution. All right. So now, if you just select the one, so if ages are constant, and we want to compare it to the poverty, say, as our first variable, then we select the columns that we want, and if we just come over here to insert, we can just insert visual. This one is probably better because it consolidated the numbers so that you can see. I mean, the relationship is not going to be a one-to-one. When you look at something like this, so make it wider so all the counties show up because there's 67 of them. Now, it's not going to be that like 44% of this equals 44% of AIDS, right? It needs to be like, as one increases, you see the other one increasing. And we see this is kind of a good relationship, well, correlation between HIV and poverty. A lot of the time. Sometimes it's not though. It's going up there, it did it everywhere else. That's in Duval. Oh yeah, AIDS goes up in Duval. Ooh, these things got inverted somehow too. Hold on. Don't do that one. This is the first one. Now this one's correct. So we see it kind of keeping the same relationship, but as we make the other ones, the relationship will be stronger with the other ones than it is with the married women. But that's what we want to look for, is the strength of it. Now, the best kind of visual too is maybe like the ones where you don't have, once you find where the relationship is strongest and weakest, then it's better to just include that. Like, to look at a visual of 67 counties starts to do the opposite of what we had set out to do, and that was to make the data easier to read. So Actually, just for now, just make your visuals of the whole thing. But what we want to do for the next week is just practice how to make our visuals. When I see you next time, then we're just gonna talk about writing what was significant and what to turn in, and make maybe what were the best visuals. Okay, great.